The empire is falling and the receipts are finally on the table for everyone to see. Nicki Minaj just released a sequence of events that is effectively dismantling the entire power structure of the music industry. The era of silence has officially ended for the queen of rap because she is no longer willing to play by the rules of people who tried to destroy her. Jay-Z is currently in a state of total career meltdown as the truth about his behind-the-scenes moves comes to light for the first time. For years, the public thought these were just rumors or fan theories spread by angry followers, but the documents released on May 14th, 2026 prove that the sabotage was real and calculated. The legal forensics show a clear pattern of gatekeeping meant to erase Nicki Minaj from the history books while making sure she never earned another dollar from major corporations. Jay-Z is no longer the untouchable mogul he once was because the mask has been ripped off and the world is seeing the deceit in plain daylight. The truth is that Nicki Minaj was a victim of a coordinated plot to end her career by making her radioactive to global brands. The specific contract details from the latest reports show that brand deals worth over $50 million were killed before they could ever be signed. These were not accidents or missed opportunities based on market trends, but instead they were calculated hits ordered by the top of the industry food chain. The receipts show that Jay-Z used his leverage at the highest levels of corporate music to block her at every single turn. Every time a major global partnership was on the table, a phone call was made to ensure the deal would fall through. The goal was to starve her out of the industry by cutting off the oxygen of her financial independence. The contracts prove that several major fashion houses were told to stay away from her or they would lose access to every other Roc Nation talent on the roster. This is the real reason Nicki Minaj decided to break her silence today and tell the world exactly what has been happening behind closed doors. She is tired of being the target of a man who claims to be for the culture while actively destroying the artists who built it. The transition to the MAGA movement was not just a random political choice made for attention, but rather it was a strategic move to escape the grip of the industry gatekeepers who controlled her narrative. The shockwaves from this move are hitting every corner of the rap world right now, and the results are devastating for the old guard. The resentment toward Jay-Z has been building for years behind closed doors among artists who felt they could not speak out. Now that Nicki has spoken up, the floodgates are opening, and the villain is finding himself completely alone in the middle of a storm. Other artists are realizing that they were also victims of the same manipulative system, and they are starting to look at their own contracts with a new level of suspicion. The truth about the MAGA pivot is finally out, and it is more complex than anyone in the mainstream media originally thought. Nicki Minaj alleges that the traditional political alliances in hip-hop are nothing but a trap designed to keep artists under the thumb of corporate masters. She claims that the same people who claim to represent the community are the ones selling it out to the highest bidder in Washington. The resentment toward Barack Obama and the elite circle he represents is a major part of this fallout because Nicki felt she was being used as a pawn. The interviews in Time magazine from May 14th, 2026 reveal a deep sense of betrayal that has been festering for over a decade. Nicki feels that she was abandoned by the very leaders she was told to look up to when she was first starting her journey. The receipts show that her political shift was a direct response to being blacklisted by the liberal elite who run Hollywood and the music charts. She saw that the gatekeepers were all part of the same club, and she decided that she would rather be an outsider than a prisoner. The data proves that her engagement and reach actually increased after she stopped trying to fit into the box they built for her. This was the one thing the industry villains did not want to happen because they rely on their power to make or break a career. They wanted her to fade away quietly into the background like so many other female rappers before her. Instead, she became a voice for a movement that the industry cannot control, and that's when the real panic started to set in for the Roc Nation team. The legal battle behind the scenes is getting even more intense as new evidence surfaces every single hour. There are now witness statements from former executives who saw the sabotage happening in real time, and they are willing to testify under oath. These executives state that Jay-Z would regularly hold meetings to discuss how to limit her radio play and ensure her songs never reach the top of the playlists. They used their power to make sure her singles did not get the same push as other artists who were more willing to follow the corporate script. The truth is that the numbers do not lie when you look at them through a forensic lens. When you look at the streaming data and the radio spin logs from the last 3 years, the evidence of a freeze is undeniable to any objective observer. There were weeks where her songs were performing at a top 10 level in terms of raw sales, but they were being held back by corporate mandates that prevented them from being played. This was a financial hit meant to bankrupt the queen and force her into a position of weakness where she would have to beg for help. But what happened next was even more shocking for the industry villains, because Nicki did the one thing they never expected. Nicki Minaj began to build her own infrastructure outside of the traditional system so she could reach her fans directly. She stopped asking for permission from the moguls and started acting like the boss she actually is. She realized that the only way to win was to burn the old bridge down completely and start a new fire on the other side. The resentment in the rap world is not just about Nicki Minaj either, because there is a much larger movement happening right now. The reports show that there is a quiet but large group of artists who feel the same way about Jay-Z and his business practices. They are tired of the gatekeeping and the fake loyalty that has defined the industry for the last 20 years. They see that the mogul has been playing a double game for decades by pretending to be a mentor while acting like a predator. The contract fiascos are coming to light one by one as lawyers begin to pick apart the deals that were made in the dark. There are leaked emails showing how certain award show performances were blocked by Roc Nation representatives who wanted to keep the spotlight on their own artists. The truth is that Jay-Z wanted to maintain a monopoly on the narrative of rap royalty, and he was willing to do anything to protect it. Anyone who did not bow down to the empire was seen as a threat that had to be eliminated. The receipts were about to go public, and the industry knew it, which is why they tried to launch a smear campaign against her. That is why there has been so much negative press directed at Nicki. Recently, across every major blog and news outlet, it was a preemptive strike to discredit her before she could tell her story to the world on May 14th. But the documents are too strong to be ignored, and the public is finally seeing who the real manipulator has been all along. The fallout from the TMZ report is already costing the villain millions of dollars in potential future earnings. Partners are starting to distance themselves from the Roc Nation brand because they do not want to be caught in the crossfire of the scandal. They do not want to be associated with a man who is being exposed for sabotaging a female icon for personal gain. The career meltdown is happening in real time, and it is self-inflicted because he thought he was above the law. The specific brand deal numbers are staggering when you really look at what was taken away from her. We are talking about lost revenue that could have built schools and funded entire communities for years to come. Instead, that money was kept away from her to satisfy a personal grudge held by a man who already had everything. This is the high-stakes legal forensics that the industry tried to hide from the fans and the investors. The truth is that Nicki Minaj has the receipts to prove every single claim she has made in these new interviews. She has the texts from former associates warning her about the meetings that were happening without her knowledge. She has the emails from brands explaining why they had to pull out of deals at the last minute because of outside pressure. The evidence is overwhelming, and the villain has no defense other than to stay silent and hope it goes away. The script has flipped, and the victim is now the one in control of the entire conversation. Nicki is no longer playing by their rules, and she is making them pay for every lie they ever told about her. By aligning with the MAGA movement, she found a base of support that the industry cannot touch with their usual tactics. She found a group of people who are also tired of the elite gatekeepers telling them what to think and how to live. The political polarization of the story is what makes it so viral and so dangerous for the establishment. It is not just about music anymore because it has become a battle for the soul of the culture itself. It is about who gets to decide what is acceptable and who gets to be successful in America. Nicki Minaj is challenging the very foundation of a celebrity world, and she is winning. The resentment toward the Obama era is a huge part of the conversation that people are finally starting to have. Nicki feels that the culture was sold a dream that never came true for the average person. She sees the current state of the industry as a direct result of those years of elite control where only a few people were allowed to succeed. She is exposing the cracks in the system that everyone else was too afraid to mention for fear of being canceled. The truth is that the industry is scared of what she might say next because they know she has nothing left to lose. They're scared of the other artists who might follow her lead and start speaking their own truth. The gatekeepers are losing their grip on the culture, and they know that their time is running out. The era of the one-man monopoly is coming to an end, and it is about time. The receipts show that Jay-Z tried to buy her silence multiple times before this story broke. There were offers made to settle these disputes quietly so the public would never find out about the Sabotage. But Nicki Minaj refused to take the hush money because she knew that her integrity was not for sale. She knew that the truth was worth more than a payout from a man who tried to end her. She wanted the world to see the deceit for what it really was, and she wanted to make sure it never happened to anyone else. The legal battle is only going to get bigger from here as more people come forward with their own stories of industry abuse. There are talks of a massive lawsuit that could change the way music contracts are written for the next 50 years. This would be a total victory for the hero of this story and a final vindication for years of being targeted. The current state of Jay-Z's career is a warning to every other mogul who thinks they can control the world. You cannot play God with people's lives and expect to get away with it forever without any consequences. The truth always finds a way out eventually, and the receipts always surface when you least expect them. And when they do, the fall is always hard and the landing is always painful. The documents prove that the sabotage went beyond just music because it was deeply personal. It was an attempt to break her spirit and her legacy so that he could remain at the top alone. But the queen is still standing, and the villain is the one who is crumbling under the weight of his own lies. The deceit has been exposed, and there is no going back to the way things were before May 14th. The transition in the script of the industry is clear, and the momentum is shifting toward the artists. We are moving away from the era of the shadowy mogul who makes decisions in back rooms. We are moving toward a time of transparency and direct artist power, where the fans are the ones who decide who wins. Nicki Minaj is the architect of this new era because she was the one who was brave enough to set the fire. The cost of the lies is finally being calculated in the court of public opinion. It is being measured in lost reputation and lost revenue that will never come back to the Roc Nation brand. It is being measured in the loss of trust from the fans who once looked up to Jay-Z as a hero. The public is no longer buying the fake image of the industry leaders, and they want the truth. The specific incidents mentioned in the 2026 reports are just the tip of the iceberg. For this investigation, there are years of behind-the-scenes drama that is still waiting to be uncovered by the legal teams. Every new witness statement adds another layer to the story of how the industry was rigged from the start. Every new email proves that the plot was deeper than we ever imagined in our wildest dreams. The villain is currently hiding behind his legal team, but it is not working because the evidence is too loud. The public has already made up its mind about what happened and who is responsible. The receipts are too clear to be debated by anyone with an objective mind. The truth is that Jay-Z tried to end a career, and he ended up destroying his own legacy. Instead, the hero of this story has shown that you can fight the system and win if you are willing to stand your ground. You just have to be willing to lose everything to tell the truth to the people who matter. Nicki Minaj lost deals and she lost friends, but she gained her freedom from the industry plantation. She is no longer a prisoner of the industry cliques that try to dictate who is allowed to be a star. The final nail in the coffin is the fact that the culture is moving on without the old gatekeepers. People are tired of the same names and the same power plays that have dominated the charts for too long. They want something real and something raw, like the energy Nicki is bringing right now. The receipts were the key to the entire operation, and they are what will ultimately bring the villain down. Without the hard evidence, it would have just been her word against his in a never-ending cycle of he said, she said. But the financial and legal forensics have changed the game and made the truth undeniable. The truth is now an objective fact that cannot be ignored by the media or the fans any longer. The meltdown is total, and the deceit is documented for the world to see. This is the end of an era for the music industry gatekeepers who thought they were untouchable. The queen has spoken, and the receipts are the final word on the matter. The world is watching the fallout, and it is a spectacle of justice being served to those who deserve it. The cost of trying to silence the truth is always high, and it is a debt that must be paid in full. Jay-Z is learning that lesson in the most public way possible. As his empire begins to fracture, he thought he could control the narrative forever, but he forgot that the truth has a voice of its own. He thought he could keep the queen in a box, but she was always too big for the containers they built. The final result of this battle will be felt for generations by every artist who enters the business. It will change how they view their contracts and their political power in a world that is constantly trying to take it away. It will will change how the public views the icons they once worshipped without question. The era of the manipulator is over, and the era of the truth has finally begun. The receipts show that every lie has an expiration date that cannot be extended by money or power. The villain reached his limit, and the hero took her power back with a single move. This is the story of a sabotage that failed and a queen who refused to be erased from the history books. The industry secrets are no longer secret because the shadowy silhouettes are being brought into the light. The moguls are being held accountable for their actions, and the queen of rap is leading the charge. The final line of this chapter is clear for everyone to see, because the cost of your lies is your entire legacy. Jay-Z built an empire on the silence of others, but Nicki Minaj just turned the volume all the way up so the whole world could hear the truth.